I'd like to invite all of you to turn on your camera. We will pretend that this is a meeting as opposed to a seminar, whereby we are having an exchange with each other interactively. I want to start off with introducing who I am and what I do. So my name is Shaun Hoon. I am the founder of Curious Mind. If I can have the next slide. My previous life, I used to run a magazine called Inspire. So through that magazine, I got to meet all kind of people, both in Brunei and around the world. And the mission of the magazine is to inspire young people in Brunei and all kind of people in Brunei to do work that matters, to make a difference. Sadly, about 4 years ago, I ended the magazine. And the main reason why I ended the magazine is the world has changed. No one, when was the last time any one of you flipped anything off paper? Rina is laughing, right? Yeah, so I can have a choice of, swimming against the tide, and it's not ever going to have any productive value, or I can swim with the tide and go, hey, if my mission in life is to help inspire people to do great things through distribution of stories, magazine is just a medium, a platform. There can be many other different platforms. So since I have used the web as a platform, I have done a lot more interviews and put them on YouTube. I have also been doing a lot of conferences, seminars, both online and offline. So next, you all may recognize, yes, the UBD, yes, Youth Empowerment Summit. Anyone raise your hand virtually or in person if you have been to any of the summit? No one? Okay, just Hafizu. Okay, if we all are doing one this year, you all should come. So another thing that I've been doing, last year I started this this initiative called Petronas School of Life, whereby I collaborated with the sponsorship of Petronas for 5 months. Once a month, I would talk to a student, a group of students from each institution for 4 weeks, to talk about, different life skills. So, my focus has been primarily on young people. Hafizu, Nurun, and Aimuni, the three of them are university students from UBD who are working with me right now on a project called SME 360. Every 2 weeks, we come out with a virtual forum for industry, each industry in Brunei. It's this steep learning curve, and I think that these guys are having time of their life. Being pushed by me, to take on the pressure that is many years ahead of them. So through working with the three of them, it gives me a sense of the level of standards that UBD has, and I am optimistic and I'm impressed. So I'm here talking to all of you because I want to see more people like the three of them, that would help shape the future of Brunei. So that in a nutshell is what I do. So let's go to the next slide here. So let's talk about today. There are 3 main things that I hope to achieve through the conversation today. Number 1, to help you all to understand what are the employer's expectation of you in the 21st century. So, Shakira is in her last semester, right? Very soon, Shakira will step into the workforce, right? Shakira, do you have any idea what the bosses want of you?
I would say good in communication skills. I think that's the most important, I guess. Yeah.
Uh-huh. So let's say if you can talk a lot, right, Shakira, how is it gonna help my business?
By I think if a business is like I would say I would use my social media as a platform to actually promote the stuff that we are I would say promoting, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, a mathematician helping to use social media to promote. I'm impressed. So today we're going to explore that question. What exactly are the bosses looking for when they are hiring young people? What kind of expectations do they have in mind, right? From you young people. Now, the reason why I say this is, let's say I've been in the workforce for over 20 years. I graduated in 97, right? The kind of expectations that my boss have for me as a young graduate is totally different from the kind of expectations that your boss have for you, Shakira. Yeah. So let's touch on that, right? I mean, 20 years ago, they want me to be able to communicate, yes, but today, I think they expect you to be able to communicate and what more, right? So second one, we want to identify. So there is a whole list of skill sets required for the 21st century, right? But is it realistic for you is it realistic to expect all of you to be a master of, let's say, all 10 of them, all 20 of them? Or you can look at it and go, hey, which are the ones that I think is super, super important, and then I will put my emphasis and my effort into it. Would that not be a better use of your time, right? So we're going to discuss, the current context where we are right now in Brunei, in 2022, in a time whereby it's so uncertain. Sorry, with COVID-19, and all kind of changes along the way, while at the backdrop, the oil price and the natural resources are diminishing, right? So what does the economy demand of us? How can we, as the next generation leaders, add value, right? So after we have identified those skill sets, right, we have to ask ourselves, right, before I get into the workforce, for Shakira's case, it's another, 6 to 9 months, right? For everyone else, Rina, what year are you in?
I'm in my first year for my master's program.
So you have another 4 more years to go, right? One,
Maybe,
2, 3, 4, 3.
Maybe 2 years, yeah.
Okay. Oh,
1 or
so
2, yeah.
UBD now is what? 3 years studying or 2 years?
For
Or
master's,
4 years?
master degrees, it's usually 2 years.
Okay. How about Van? What year student are you, Van?
In my discovery year, the third year.
Third year. Okay. Dan Kuliana? And Diana, what year student are you?
Shaun, Kuliana is my colleague.
Sorry? Oh, Diana is your colleague. Okay.
Diana, yeah.
Or Dan Kuliana. Dan Kuliana is your colleague.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, no worries. So we're going to talk about, hey, while you're in school right now, with about 2 years on, or 3 years or 9 months, what can you do right now before you graduate to harness all these skills, right? So that when you get into the workforce, you are ready to impress your bosses the way that Nurun, Hafizu, and Aimuni have impressed me so far. Okay. Now the format of this conversation is Geez, it's 2:22 right now already. I haven't even started. I'm going to talk for 10-15 minutes, and then I'm going to invite Aimuni to moderate the session by asking question, by being the interviewer. I have not seen her questions yet, so I hope it won't be too difficult. Uh, but let's have a very interactive conversation, and stop me at any time. All right. Okay. Next slide, please. So, what are the 21st century skill sets? Now, before we go into looking at the top 10 skill sets, right? I want to establish with you the way I think about learning, right? I think that whatever stats there is out there in the world, right, is available at your fingertip. So if I am right here giving a talk, reading out the stats, I'm wasting your time, because you could have very easily, and I would be quite disappointed if you all have not already done so, right? You could have easily spent 2 minutes, typing in on Google and clicking, enter, then you'll be able to get all this anyway, right? So, for me to spend another 15-20 minutes to read through all this to you, it's an insult to your intelligence, right? So instead of me going through all of them, yeah, I would suggest for you to read it yourself, okay? But let me give you a summary of the 2022 skill sets that the World Economic Forum has advocated for, that says, hey, these are the top 10 skills that is required for you to master in order for you to get into the workforce, right? Number one, analytical thinking and innovation. Number two, active learning and I can't read it, and learning strategies. Number three, creativity, originality, and initiative. Number four, technology, design, and programming. Remember that video just now, right? It says that, hey, if you don't know all these technology acronyms, you'll be left behind, right? Yeah, I think that's what it's reflecting on. And by the way, that video is done probably at least 3 to 4 years ago. Yeah, and everything that it has said is actually happening right now. Yeah, next one, critical thinking and analysis, and then complex problem solving, leadership and social influence, EQ, reasoning, problem solving, and system analysis, right? None of this should be surprising to you, given the amount of technology that you are using today, right? So what does all this mean, right? If I can just sum it up into 4 of the most important things, that it is, in 2022 they come out with this top 10 skills. 2 years ago they came out with one, and then every 2 years they come out with something. But these are the 4 common core competency area that that would always be there. What are they, right? Next slide. Yeah, the 4 C's, remember, okay? It's communications, like what Shakira say, collaboration, yeah, the ability to work with people, yeah, critical thinking. How do you think critically on and independently on issues? How do you solve problem, and being creative? And those are the 4 main things that that are prevalent for you to to excel in the future, if you want to go places, right? If you don't have those 4 main skills, you're in trouble. Yeah. Now notice, if we look at all the skills, right, the 10 skills, the 4 main categories, right, none of them talk about the ability to memorize, right? And And when I, and all the other employers look at your grades, right? And if you are an A+ student, yeah, and if you trace back all the way on how you get the A+, chances are you are a specialist in memorizing, right? In the ability to utter out whatever that is being said on the textbook, right? In the 21st century, when this little thing, yeah, can give you all the answers within seconds, the ability to memorize, is not that attractive, right? But the ability to know what to type in Google, now that is a skill that is, I think, essential. We all have the phone, and you can choose, to play, I don't know, Candy Crush, or what other games do young people play?
Roblox.
Roblox, right? Or you can choose this to type in Wikipedia and find out all kind of the most important things that you need to learn, right? And the tool is the same, and everyone have exactly the same tool, correct? So my question to you is, and I want this to be an interactive conversation. What exactly, we know that those are the skill sets. We know that those are the things that we need to master. But the main question to ask ourselves is, what of these skill sets, which of these skill sets should I emphasize on? What are the bosses looking for, right? So next slide, yeah, I'm gonna. So what minimum skill sets do employers expect from future employees? Now let's rewind, go back to the previous slide. Let's take stock of where we are right now. So where are we right now? We're in 2022. Today, I think we just hit over 1,000 cases, right? We are all stuck at home, and we are talking to each other via Zoom. Yeah. What else? Where are we right now? We are in an age whereby the teachers do not have control over whether or not you are attending this class. As a result, you all may have 2,000 people in UBD. There's only 10 people in this forum, right? We are in an era whereby we are talking about self-discipline, right? And self-pursuit of advancement of knowledge, right? And nobody is controlling you. Yeah, you are in charge of your own destiny. Okay, now if you are the boss today, what you're facing is, I may have employees that are not coming to the office that I can, keep an eye on to see whether or not they're working, right? So now I want you to imagine yourself being in the shoe of your employer. Yeah. And ask yourself, right, what are the skills that is required of you right now in order to perform what I, as a boss, want you to do? Yeah, what are the minimum skill sets? So Shakira just now mentioned communication, and I totally agree. Why? Because the ability to talk, right? And the confidence, right? To even just turn on your video and have a decent conversation. Yeah, I mean, that's like basic, right? If you don't have that confidence to show your face, to to express your thoughts, yeah, you're probably not gonna go too far in your career, right? So let's go to the slide, Imoni, and ask ourselves the question. Next one. Oh, okay, this is an old slide. Okay, go back, right? So what are the minimum skill sets that the bosses require you to have? Now, right now, we are communicating via Zoom, right? So at the very minimum, you need to know how to operate a computer. You need to know how to operate Zoom, right? So those are basic. Without the basic understanding of technology, you will not be able to help me, correct? Yeah. Now, I'm not even talking about coding and all that. I'm just talking about, hey, in the future, what you need to know in being tech savvy. Canva, iMovie, yeah, Google Drive, yeah, because we're all working remotely. I mean, the way that Imuni and Hafizu have been working with me since November, in November we don't even see each other, and everything is done via the web, right? Do you remember Hafizu? And Hafizu will help me to set up all my accounts, everyone's email, website, and all that. Does Hafizu have an IT degree? No, but it is, a minimum expectation that, hey, you should know and you should be able to learn yourself, correct? Yeah, independence. Yeah, I cannot, as a boss, you know, breathe over your neck and ask you to do things, right? I am going to rely on you trusting that you are able to do things on your own. At the end of the day, I would say, hey, these are the top 10 things that I want to achieve by the end of the day. Yeah. And all I need is by the end of the day, you give me the result, right? It doesn't matter how hard you work, right? I'm looking at result. I don't look at process, right? Resourcefulness, right? Your ability to find answers. The number one thing that you guys, Shakira, when you get into the workforce, number one thing that you cannot tell your boss is, I don't know, right? Why? Because I don't know means I'm lazy, right? When you have all the solutions here, there's no excuse for you to say, I don't know, right? I don't know yet may be better. That means that you can find out the answer. You know what's the second worst thing that you can say to your boss?
I'm not sure. No.
Well, that's the same, right?
Yeah. I would say
Does anyone else have an answer? Rina?
No. The answer is no.
Well, of course you can say no to your boss, and you should say no to your boss if what he's asking of you is unreasonable. For example, right, if your boss today asks you to have a physical meeting and to do an induction for all the other students, you should say no because it is wrong. You have to protect yourself. So you need to have that independent thinking, in order to make decisions. So, and if my staff say no to me and challenge me, they would have my respect. Anyone else want to give it a try? Now, I did not invent this, but there's this guy called Jim Quick, Jimkwik. Not sure if you've heard of him, right? Go and research this guy. He teaches some of the top Hollywood actors on how to remember things, how to tap into the brain potential. His clients include Will Smith and so on and so forth. He said that the number one thing, is you should never tell your boss that you forget. I forget means that I don't care, right? In this day and age, there is every system, every app available to help remind you things, right? So, those are the two things. Right? I don't know, I forget, no, right? So what the boss are looking for today as a minimum, I'm talking about the basic minimum, right? Is if you are a graduate, I would expect you to be tech savvy. I will expect you to be independent, to be resourceful. That means that you know how to find solutions, right? I will expect you to be efficient. That means that you know how to use the tool to save time, to get things done fast, right? I will expect you to have a global mindset, to have global connections. Why? My daughter is playing Roblox with some strange guys that I'm really, really worried about, halfway around the world. And it doesn't matter where that person is, right? To her, that person might as well be next door. The way that we are progressing forward is, the technology has leveled the playing field, right? If any one of you who play game will understand that it's no longer such a big deal when we have people that are interacting with me, that are interacting with you, that are collaborating with you, that is not next to you, right? Last year I used to have a director working with me, an event director, to do our second 2 years ago, our second Youth Empowerment Summit, right? And she's from the Philippines. She is extremely, extremely experienced. And she costs about half of what I would have paid here, right? So if you all are thinking that, hey, my competition are the people who are, sitting right next, left and right of myself, you'll be mistaken, because your competition is around the world. I mean, if this is the medium that we are going to collaborate together, what difference does it make, right? So why should I pay you Brunei's rate when I can pay someone who is even more hungry, who is even more intelligent, who can do things faster and cheaper than you, right? No reason. Yeah. Now, because the world is changing every day, now if you are of the mindset of, feeling depressed right now because the cases has hit 1,000, you should be depressed. But then, if you bring that baggage to my work environment, I would say, hey, what have you learned in the last 2 years? You should know by now that, things are unpredictable, and your basic skill set is, hey, whatever, obstacles that's coming the way, your mindset should be, hey, that is the reality, let's deal with it, right? So if you don't have that muscle to be adaptable, to be flexible, then it doesn't matter how smart you are. You will not be able to thrive in anywhere that you work, because coming in the future, things are going to be unpredictable, right? I mentioned just now independence, and accountability. They are both the same thing, right? Can I trust that you will do something when that task is being given to you? Now, why? Because if the future, just imagine the future is right now, that we cannot work with each other next to each other, right? If you are not any of these that I've listed, how are you going to produce any result for me, right? It's not that the bosses have higher expectations, but this is the way that the world operates today, right? And I need, despite all this, we have the tools, we have the technologies, and I still need to get my work done, right? If you cannot produce under these circumstances, I cannot use you. Make sense? Anyone agree, disagree, or have comments?
I think just to add on with accountability and independence is responsible as well, right? Being
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
responsible. I think just to add on,
Yeah. I mean, accountability is responsibility.
responsible.
Yeah.
I actually have a question, Sean. You
Yes.
know how you mentioned earlier it's not about being smart, right? So it's not about having the intelligence, right? It's about having to be able to adapt. But the first thing when someone apply for the job, it's always the achievement, it's always the intelligence. So doesn't that mean like it's also as important as being adaptable?
Can I add on to that question?
I want to add
Yes.
in as well.
No, because I was looking
Okay,
at
Hazel first.
the BIBD new poster on job for the new graduates. Yeah, they macam mention about the graduates must be upper class honor and all that. So it at least the minimum requirement is at least upper honor class. So I think how do I do how is that now how do you go about it?
I think
Anyone have
I
any
want to
thought?
add
Yes,
in
sorry.
from what I understand from Shaun presentation and all, we have to be book smart and also street smart. Street smart is in macam you good in your communication, you have that skills and stuff, and also you have that that holder, something like that, just to top it in to get it more extra credits. Is that it? I think that's what I get.
Rina, how about you? Did you want to say
Yeah.
something?
As Hafizul said earlier about the education requirements, I think that maybe if the education requirements you're not able to reach that, maybe you can top it up with the skills that you have. Maybe they'll consider you then. That's what I think.
Hafizul, help me to go to YouTube, right? As I explain this, type in Elon Musk, type in, how important is a degree to Elon Musk, right? Now, guys, without basic education, you will not be able to perform all of the minimum skill sets that's required of you, right? So, I understand the question. Imuni's question is, exceptional performance in your result, right? And whether or not, and Hafizul mentioned something about, at least second class honor, right? My answer is, looking back at when I hired Hafizul, Nurun, and Imuni, did I ever ask you for any credentials?
You
Uh-huh.
did not.
Yeah. I think I am not a representation of all the employers, right? And I think that, as time progresses, right? I mean, today Google no longer look at your certificate, right? And a lot of big companies, they are turning into, the skill sets and your ability to demonstrate whether or not you are able to add value, through. So what do I look for? Yeah, I'll look for whether or not you are someone that is active in the extracurricular activities. I'll look for whether or not you have the leadership ability, your mindset. Because if you are always doing volunteer work, that means that you are someone who is not only thinking about yourself, you are always thinking about other people, right? And at the end of the day, if all things being equal, and if everyone have the same amount of intelligence, it's very easy for me to pick someone who is outstanding, right? That has done all of the above. Let's say if you were to ask me to choose between a straight A student and someone who is very active with all the ECAs, yeah, I myself would pick the ECA person. Because, if I want people to provide result, right, they need to demonstrate that, they have the resilience, right? Resilience means that you you know, as important as it is for you to excel all the time, you know, I worry for those people who have straight A and then all of a sudden, you know, they make a mistake and then they're being told off by the boss, and in front of the boss they start crying. You know, it is embarrassing to themselves. In that, it's telling me that, hey, it doesn't matter how intelligent you are not ready for the workforce, right? Because you don't have that capacity to take in feedback and to grow from there. So to me, what is even more important is your demonstration of you having mastered a skill of being scolded by bosses, right? And that is resilience, right? There are countless. I mean, we've worked together for 3 months. You can see how many people who are seemingly intelligent, right? But, you know, do not have that resilience. As a result, they don't last. Make sense? If you want to work for Google, Facebook, and the best companies in the world, right? Do not limit yourself to just academic result, because no one really cares. Hafizu, have you been able to find that video?
There's a lot of videos on Elon
Okay,
Musk.
let's click on something. Let's see what you have, right?
Um,
I was just watching that 2 days ago, where Elon Musk was being asked about how important is a degree, and then he said that, you know, that's like the last thing that I look at. You know, I hire you and I fire you if you can't perform.
do I share my screen?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm mindful that I have 10 minutes left. It might be this one. Have a quick look. Yeah.
I chose the shortest one.
There's no
Right.
need even to have a college degree at all, or even high school. I mean, if somebody graduated from a great university, that may be an indication that they will be capable of great things, but it's not necessarily the case. You know, if you look at, say, people like Bill Gates or Larry Ellison, Steve Jobs, these guys didn't graduate from college. But if you had a chance to hire them, of course, that would be a good idea. So, you know, just looking just for evidence of exceptional ability, and if there's a track record of exceptional achievement, then it's likely that that will continue into the future.
So I didn't say that, right? Yeah, and if you don't know Elon Musk, you are living under the rock. So let me share my next slide. Imuni, I don't need you because your slide is not updated. Mine is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let me find my next slide. Are you all looking at my slide? You see, my
Yes.
problem is so minimum skill sets. So just now, am I okay? So, you know, if you look at all these rocks, right, all these building blocks, I'm talking about minimum skill sets, and these are the minimum in order for you to perform, right? I'm not even touching on what the World Economic Forum has to say about the 21st century skill sets, right? And if you don't have this minimum, right, forget about all the fancy skill sets. You're not going to go anywhere, right? The problem with you know, the millennials or the young people today is we always look for, you know, fancy acronyms, right? 21st century skill sets, you know, data savvy, so on and so forth. Yeah. The problem with that is we always forget that, hey, sometimes and most of the times it's about harnessing that basic. And you know, forget about flying if you don't have the fundamentals, right? So
Shaun?
Yes,
You're sharing your whole screen, so the
Yeah,
you
this
can't see,
it's
huh?
small.
it's too small.
Mm.
I think you can, yeah, that works too.
So my next question to you is, what skills do employers wish future employees possess? Yeah. So yes, those are the minimum. So let's say if you come in, you're able to do all that. What else? You know, it's not, if you're able to do the minimum, doesn't mean that you're very good. It means that you are passed, right? Because you have what it requires to produce something. But what are the things that the employers are actually looking for above and beyond? So, you know, after you have satisfied the bottom, you know, this is the difference. The difference is what is separating you from the rest of the people, right? What are they? Anyone?
Emotional intelligence.
Sorry?
Yeah, EQ.
EQ?
Yeah,
Why?
emotional intelligence.
Why?
Because I think now it's nowadays, you know, emotional, being sympathy, being empathy and sympathy is very important. People are emotional in a way, so being emotionally connected with your colleagues or boss is really important. It's because you guys understand each other, so you guys can grow and help each other.
Yeah, because everyone else are like robot,
Yeah.
right? Everyone else are looking at things in a short term, you know, in a very transactional way, right? So which is why, you know, having EQ is essential. Yeah, agreed. Anyone else?
I have 2 points.
Yes.
So the first one is basically communication. So a lot of people in Brunei, they are not able to be radical candor. So to those who
What
don't
is radical candor? They're using
So-
big words that I'm very afraid of.
So to those who do not know what radical candor means, it's actually how to get what you want by saying what you want. In short term, it's feedback. Sometimes usually employers give feedback to you so you can improve. Yet, as mentioned by Shaun earlier, they are high performers, so it did not go as they planned. They might take it wrongly, they might cry, for example. So communication in this sense is very important, and resilience, of course, it relates back to the first one, what is expected by employers. And another one is loyalty. It's not loyalty as in you're staying in the company for 5 years, in the 5 years time span, but it's actually being able to commit 100% loyal to your project with your boss, something like that.
I'm smiling because, you know, you're taking like a few of the points that I have just mentioned. And of course, you're privy to the answers, so it doesn't count. Yeah, yeah. Thanks, and totally agree. You know, I listed down here. Let me see. So these are the minimum, right? These are what the employers wish. Yeah, you see, you don't need to look far. Yeah, you look at your own family during dinner. You know, even if you have kids, right? Everyone is looking at their own phone. No one knows how to have a relationship with one another. No one knows how to communicate, right? And as you get into the workforce, yeah, when everyone is behaving like that, you know, and having someone who is able to put down their phone and look you in the eyes and talk and relate to you and have and show empathy, you know, and talk to you and share stories, you know, and all of a sudden you are a human being, right? That is refreshing, right? In this day and age. Yeah. So we are, you know, as bosses, yes, we want all the efficiency and all the intelligence, but above all, we miss, you know, the good old days of talking to people, you know, who can relate to us, who are non-robotic, who are non-transactional, and as what Imuni say, who are loyal, right? Who can, hang on to you and let you know that, hey, you can count on me. I am backable, right, Imuni?
Yes, yes.
So these are the things that bosses wishes you have, right? Long-term perspective, thinking beyond, what is required of you right now. There's one of the smartest thing that you can do, Shakira, is, and this may be counterintuitive, chances are you're so smart, you'll be snatched by Brunei Shell before you know it, right? But if you are really, really smart, you will want to work for someone who can, who may not necessarily be able to pay you as much, right? But who is able to push you and lead you and help you build a solid foundation. Yeah, because you can have all your life to apply for Brunei Shell, right? And if you go into Brunei Shell and you are just one in, many of the smartest people, and there's no one nurturing you, guiding you, or challenges you, you wouldn't go very far, right? So have a long-term perspective, right? What young people don't have today because of all the instant gratification through your phone, is patience, right? So if you can have the patience to wait for result and to put in the hours required, there is a fantastic documentary called Gyro Dream of Sushi, which I make all my staff to watch, right? It's just stuck with one staff right now, before it gets to Nurun. It is about, having the long-term perspective of how do you master something, right? And I would encourage all of you to find that. I don't know, it's Jiro, Gyro, Dream of Sushi. So go and find that documentary. So that is all my rant for the 21st century skill sets revisited. So if Evelyn was to invite any of the future speakers, and they are going to sit down and walk you through all 10 of them and define one by one, don't waste your time, right? You can watch that with much better speakers on YouTube. But the question is, how do you look at it and decide for yourself and think critically on what matters to you and harness, and dedicate time to develop that skill sets? I think that is worth so much more. So I know that we are ending at 3 o'clock. It's 3 o'clock sharp, right? I have tasked Imuni to be the moderator in which she can ask me questions. Now, it's 3 o'clock. If you all want to leave, by all means, you all have checked the boxes with Evelyn. Just because Imuni has spent so much effort and so much nervousness, sleepless night in preparing for this, I'm happy to just hang in here to have a discussion, and if you all want to leave, by all means, right? Imuni, what questions do you have?
Perhaps do you want to close the session with one question each, Shaun? I have 2 questions for closing ones if you want to answer. Okay.
Does anyone have any question? Does anyone have anything that you don't disagree with? I'll love to listen to that. That's a lot more interesting to me. Yes.
I actually have a genuine question, Shaun.
I thought you are giving someone else a chance first.
Okay. So do you guys have any questions? Oh, Rena has to leave.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Rena.
So, do our audience have any questions for Shaun?
Go ahead, Imoni.
Okay, so So, I think COVID might defer the growth of 21st century skill sets because
Has deferred? I thought it has accelerated.
because I
But
think there is an employment rate of 8.37% in Brunei as of 2019, right? Which COVID has just started to come. And seeing that technology is used the most during these times, I think a lot of job opportunities will decline as well, which defers the opportunity to grow. Don't you think so? Like, no matter how skillful you are in being persistent, robots will still take over. For example, like in Waha One City, they're using cashless payment now, so you can just do it yourself, not needing any employees to work for that. So at this point, do you think these skills are still necessary?
what skills are still necessary?
Like skills of being persistent, like robots are still going to take over the jobs of the cashier and all that, like what the video mentioned earlier during the session.
So what you are being trained for at UBD is not to be a cashier. Yeah. Whatever that can be automated, right, do not require creativity. Right. So yes, the COVID-19 is going to displace a lot of jobs, right? But it also opens up a lot of opportunities if you are creative, if you are resourceful, and can you imagine not having all those skill sets of being able to at least, right? I'm talking about the minimum skill set of at least being able to communicate confidently on Zoom, right? Of not being able to research and find solutions and ask questions, right? Can you imagine not having those skill sets? Now, if you don't have those skill sets, you will be replaced by the automatic machine at Huaho, right? But what you have been trained for is a lot more than that. Yeah. We have had a lot of offline conversation about how actually COVID-19 for Curious Mind itself, has been a blessing in disguise. I would not otherwise have a lot of online webinars opportunities and all kind of Zoom related opportunities. This job would not have available 2 years ago, right? And I'm having, in terms of business, right? One of the most productive time of Curious Mind's life cycle. Yeah. So what this future skill set that you possess, yeah, allows you an opportunity to think beyond Brunei. The problem that all of you have is you're looking at Brunei as a place for you to find your answers and your career opportunities, right? Right now, I might as well be talking to someone in London, right? There's no difference. Why are you limiting yourself in finding a job in Brunei, right? When I was doing the School of Life, there's this girl called Tanya that worked for me as an intern. She is year 12 in GIS, just graduated. Right now, she's interning for a London-based company, right? What did she do? She did what you guys do, right? Instead of searching for BIBD, which is a reputable, a top company in Brunei, right? She Googled around the world and started sending her resume. The only difference is her mind is not being fixated into this small, tiny little country on the map with only 450,000 people, right? Are you all able to do the same? Why not?
Yes. I would like to add, like,
Wow,
usually
that's
for DY, we actually have students interning with Australia companies, computer science students. So we are also looking at it. And recently I am just gonna share something with all of you, where we have students who graduated, right? Recent convo, and then they have. I was asking them, what are you thinking of? Do you want to find a job in Brunei? Then the next thing they say is, I'm looking at international market. It's a new statement
Nice.
that students are telling me. No one has ever told me I'm looking at international market.
Why not?
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm like, wow. So which countries are you looking at? Then he go like, I want to go to New Zealand to work or Australia. The nearest one would be Singapore. So this opens the perspective of students. They are not limiting themselves at this point. Yes. So I encourage him to meet the lecturer who has connections overseas, and see if they can work something out. Yeah.
Evelyn, a few things here. Number one is you don't really need anyone with any connections in this day and age. Yeah.
Yes, we don't need.
You know, LinkedIn is your connection. Google is
Yes.
your connection.
LinkedIn is part of the thing that I asked him to do. He has to create a LinkedIn. So he's starting to create a LinkedIn. So the connection is not there yet. So I say, and then he is quite nervous. He said he got a few rejections. What's wrong with his CV? You know, he was having some anxiety. So I said, maybe you can reach out to your lecturers who are close to you, and then they are in the same field. Then he go like, oh yes, I can speak to my own lecturer. He even did the fact that he think out of box. He didn't even think of Brunei lecturers that he has. That's what I'm saying.
You know, chances are, Evelyn, that boy or girl student of you, chances are he or she has a stellar result. You know, academically, it may be, you know, a top student, right? But
He has got a second class honor.
Yeah, whatever it means, yeah. You can tell I'm not an academic person at all. Right?
Don't do that to our students, Shaun.
No. Whatever it means, yeah. And I'm dead serious about it. If that student is not able to convey with confidence over Zoom on why he should be considered a job, right? No matter how smart he is on paper, he is just one of the very, very many. Yeah, so, you know, it's an uphill battle. Now, I'll give you a classic case in point, yeah? If tomorrow Aimuni was to apply for a job anywhere in the world, instead of her going on to Zoom for an interview, she would go onto YouTube and send any of the sessions that she has moderated as an MC in both BIBDS and SME 360. She would have gotten the job in an instant, right? Without having sent, you know, whatever A+ result that she has academically. Now, this is exactly what I'm talking about. You're building your portfolio, you know, from the ground up, from day one while you're still at school. Yeah. So, you know, it's not even about the interview. You know, it's about all the things that you're accumulating. Yeah. So, you know, I may not be paying her as much as Brunei Shell would have been or BLNG, right? But because of her fortitude and her foresight in being able to see that, hey, I'm actually offering an opportunity for her to build out her resume, right? In the long term, she would be able to go much further places than you know, what she would have been had she landed an internship in BLNG. So that's my point. Any other questions?
Well, thanks, Shaun. So you mentioned earlier how companies like BIBD looks at fancy grades instead of the ECA, right? So how do we stop those companies to look at those fancy grades instead of the ECAs?
One word: persistence and resourcefulness, right? Meaning that if you are that serious about wanting to get that job, whatever position that is being advertised, and say, hey, you need to have 5 years experience and first class honor, right? The way that I would do it is I would show and prove to the HR manager why you are better than that, right? So a lot of times we give up the moment we look at the advertisement on newspaper. Yeah. And a lot of times those are the wishful thinking of the employers. Yeah. If you don't, if 100 of the people all looking at this and go, hey, I don't have it, as a result, I don't apply. Yeah, maybe they end up with 1 or 2 applicants that actually have it that they're not happy with. Yeah, so you give up on yourself before they have written you off. Yeah, so I would do a few things. I would send all my YouTube recording. I would send all the other things that I've been doing, and I will make a case for myself regardless. Now, if they are, it doesn't matter if it's BIBD or any company, right? If they are a company worth working for, right, they would not have written you off just by looking at the criteria that doesn't match. And you don't need that job anyway with that company if they behave that way, because you deserve better. Yeah.
That's so
anyone
cool,
else?
Shaun.
So
Well,
back
it's
in
Do
my
you guys
days,
have any?
back in my days when I have to apply jobs, 5 years experience, they put so high, and then we are fresh graduate. We ignore the 5 years experience. Ignore, go for it, and see what happens.
Oh, okay.
It's just like Shaun said, wishful thinking.
Yeah. I mean, they may be right. They may be able to find that, but you give them the opportunity to reject you instead of you rejecting yourself.
Oh, because usually, like, me and my friends before, as soon as we saw the 5 years experience, they're like, oh, we're not eligible for this anymore.
I'm only
So,
with you, Nurun, Hafizul, and the few colleagues that you've had working for me, and I've been working for over 20 years, right? I will pick you or any of the 3 of you over anyone with 5 years experience. So my second point to Evelyn's prior statement about working overseas is I've worked in not all over the world, but in enough places around the world to say that, hey, our young people are no less qualified than people outside. We don't know yet, right? But truth be told, right? We may be a lot more polished in terms of our literacy and our qualifications. A lot of people outside are a lot more hungry and a lot more determined and driven. If you were to ask me to choose, I would choose someone who is a lot more determined and driven over someone who is polished. And we have to start thinking more than just the paper that we get from the university. It's no doubt important. Yeah, that's just a starting point.
wow, so cool. So, just a very last question. If no one has any other question, does Shakira or Van have any questions to ask?
I think it's like basically how you showcase yourself to the interviewer. I think that's the most important thing that
Right.
the interviewer
Your
consider,
attitude.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You got the point.
Shakira, I would not have been able to get into any math school. So, chances are you're 10 times smarter than me, right? Aside from your academic result, what do you have to show for when you get into university, when you get into an interview? Have you thought about that?
Sorry, what was the question?
My question is, aside from your academic result, have you thought of, whether or not there are other things that you can show for to help you convince someone to hire you?
I would definitely say that I am interested in technology skills, technology stuff, and also how I can showcase, again, like social media is very important, important skill right now. And like using YouTube as a platform or any other, like Instagram as a platform to, I would say,
So
like,
do you have, so my question to you as an interviewer is, okay, I'm convinced that you think those are important skills, but show me your IG. Do you have 10,000 followers? Show me your YouTube. It doesn't matter if you have any followers, but how many YouTube clips have you produced? That's what I'm looking at when I'm asking, what do you have to show for, right? So like Hafizu, right? I don't know if he has good social media account, but in his resume, what would speak louder than his resume would be the BIBDS website that he has created from scratch for us, right? So what are the things that you are building up right now? Yeah, that is above and beyond just a certificate. Is what you need to do, in the time between now and when you graduate.
that's true.
Shakira, do you have a dilemma of you want to continue postgrad or you want to work?
Yeah, I have that dilemma because I just don't know what to do in life right now to find the why. It's it's like that. Yeah.
I would suggest you, instead of finding the why, to try everything possible. Yeah, it doesn't matter even if it's waiting table. Find something safe, right? Yeah, it doesn't matter what it is, right? Just try and cast your net as wide as possible, because you just never know until you try it.
Yeah. All right.
So
Thank
prepare
True,
a big
that's
net.
actually true. I'm sorry?
Prepare a big net.
Yeah, that's true. Good luck, Shakira, for your future career in the future. So perhaps to close the session, most of us here are students that will be graduating and has graduated before already. So just a very curious question. How do you actually win your future employers, future bosses' hearts? Like, we don't know each other, but how do you tackle the heart during the interviews and all that?
So I think the wrong premise to start is to appeal to them emotionally. They have to have something of substance. Yes, people need to like you, right? Likability is important. Yeah, no doubt about it. And I cannot hire someone that I don't like, right? So I'm not diminishing the importance of likability, but if your emphasis is only to make sure that someone like you, that is the wrong place to start. You want people to hire you because you have value to offer. You have something to give to the organization, right? So just now I have two slides. One is basic fundamentals. One is the extra topic. I will put likability as the fundamental, right? So I may have told you before, the late General Colin Powell the previous Secretary of State of United States, when he have people coming in to work for him, he will say that, hey, if you ever doubt that or question whether or not I like you, I would not have hired you if you don't pass the test of likability, right? So don't ever doubt yourself whether or not I like you. Don't ever question yourself when I give you a feedback or when I scold you, right? It's got nothing to do with your likability, but it has to do with the job itself, right? So yes, likability is important, but you have so much more to give than just being likable. Yeah. If there's and anything else.
Well, thanks, Shaun. Perhaps this. Oh, we're left with Shakira in the room. Actually, it's Shakira is the only.
Everyone thinks that
Perhaps
it's so long-winded.
How about Diana? Oh, just left. Just mentioned her name and then she left.
Right. So yeah, Evelyn, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you for your time.
Right. Shakira, feel free to reach out anytime. You can. I'll write down my number here. Yeah. So see, for the last person standing, right? You get you get access.
This is like a session specifically for Shakira.
Go and check out Gyro Dream of Sushi.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And wait, I would also share the link of my slide. Yeah, which is okay here. Okay.
Oh yeah, Shakira. Do you know we have this school of digital science now?
Oh
It's
yeah,
quite a new school. If you really opt to want to do something, and then we're talking about skill sets and robots and whatnot, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can, if you really want to take master, you can consider that one. Because you're from a science background, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually took one of the programming models, especially on the website development. I kind of like it, but I'm
Codings,
still
right? They are full of codings.
Yeah, I'm still thinking of
If
whether
it is like you can apply it simultaneously, and then if there's no job that you have, then there is this admission that's calling you in. Why not just hop in? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks so much, Evelyn. Great job, Imoni, once again.
But okay. Sorry, didn't get to feel the full experience. Thank you.
No.
Full experience.
No
This is good. This is good.
Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you. See you.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much. I got the
Bye.
link Canva, so thank you. The slide, I mean.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.